Now we can start, sir.
Good evening, one and all. First of all, I want to thank the Soil Academy who has given such a wonderful opportunity to me to deliberate about the law of preventive detention, particularly Act 14 of 1982. Now, in this stage, you know that in the COVID situation also, some of the people, some of the people who have been detained under the preventive detention. Recently, we had seen in the media. So, this is a very important act in the criminal safe practice. So, first of all, we must know. Just a minute. First of all, we must know sorry. First of all, we must know the criminal attitude and the criminal law. I want to tell you the criminal law is not a new law in India because when the English people came to India and they wanted to curb our patriots, that is the freedom fighters. For that reason, they have enacted the first law is the Indian Penal Code, 1860. So the criminal law is a very old law in India. In this, the criminal law, what is the meaning of criminal law? The criminal law which governs the penal provisions and awarding punishments to the culprits. So the penal provisions, it's a major part in the criminal law. Not only the penal provisions, certain procedural aspects also introduced by the English people. In 1898, they have introduced the CRPC. That is the procedural aspects on the part of the criminal law. Then the preventive detention law, which is not derived properly by the English people, our freedom fighters were detained unreasonably and a longer period without any trial. Most of our freedom fighters who have been detained by the British colonial rule. So the culprits are involving what is the Act 14, that is the preventive detention. The purpose of the preventive detention is the culprits are involving repeatedly the criminal act and the criminal behavior which is considered as a recidivist or a habitual offender or a chronic offender. These people are causing danger to the public life or public health or public order. For that reason, the behavior of the criminal behavior is very important. Before going to the elaborate discussion of the Act 14 of 1982, the preventive detention law, we must understand that why it is required. Because the people, those who are involving repeatedly in the criminal act. Next, we have to discuss the arrest and detention. Normally, the CRPC discussed about the arrest. So the arrest, the person can be arrested with warrant, without warrant in the CRPC. But detention is different from the arrest. The person can be arrested by the police officer. In the detention law, we may say they are called as a sponsoring authority. The district magistrate and the commissioner of police may be called as a detaining authority. So the sponsoring authority placed the document to the detaining authority to detain the person under the preventive detention. So the detainee called as the person called as a detainee, not the arrestee. Though they may be the arrestee, you know that arrestee is a genus, detainee is the species. So the arrest and detention is different. Without the arrest, the remand is there, and also the trial will be there, everything will be there. But in the detention, no trial, nothing will be there. The procedural aspects of the preventive detention law applies to the person. He may be detained within the particular law, particular act. Next, we have to discuss the substantive law and procedural law. Why we have to discuss substantive law and procedural law? In the preventive detention laws, the substantive law playing an important role. He may be booked under, he committed an offence under the particular act. For an example, a bootlegger committed an offence of the Tamil Nadu Prohibition Act. The Gunda who committed an offence under the Indian Penal Code. Like that, the substantive law plays an important role. Based upon that, the procedural law, that means the Act 14 of 1982 or the NSA Act, like that, this Act playing an important role. They have been detained under the procedure. Next, the general law under the special law. The general law and special law, we know that the Indian Penal Code may be called as a general law, and special law, particular for the time being in force, for the emergency situation, to detain, to arrest a particular person. The ordinance may be passed, and thereafter the act may be passed, enacted by the legislature for the particular class of cases. For the particular class of cases, in this, the Tamil Nadu Prohibition Act, the Copyrights Act, like that, these are all may be called as a special law. The next,
sorry for the interruption. Your audio is not clear, sir. Echoing. All of them posted chat box, sir. Audio is not clear.
Okay, sir.
So,
It is echoing.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think your headphone is your problem. I think so.
Okay, I may leave the headphones. Now it is okay, sir. Now it is okay, sir.
Better you can use a normal headphone, sir.
Normal headphone. Have my daughter having the normal headphones, sir.
Okay.
Which is she's
Okay.
Asian house.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir.
Actually, all these electronic gadgets, which is possessed by the daughters usually, you know that. Is it audible, sir? Now it is audible.
It's much better, sir.
Will I continue like this?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir?
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Shall I continue?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
The purpose of the act, that is, the purpose of the act means why this preventive detention law is required to detain the person. Usually, the society at large, that is best interest of the society, to prevent the commission of the offence, not an individual, to the society, to prevent the such person, commission of the offence by the person, these laws, that is Act 14 of 1982 or the NSA Act. Earlier we know that we are going to discuss, we are going to deliberate all this in the historical background. Okay, the punitive enactments for the purpose of punishing the person only. So in the criminal, the accused may be booked under the particular offence. He may be charged under the particular offence, and he may be tried beyond all reasonable doubts, and he may be convicted by the courts. This is called as a substantive law. In the procedural law, particularly the preventive detention law, there is no question of deciding whether the detainee is guilty or not. He has been separated from the society. He has been detained for a particular period without causing or prejudice to the maintenance of the public order. The historical background. We are going to discuss the historical background. In the historical background, you know that British colonial rule. The British government detained our freedom fighters under the preventive detention without trial, without conviction for a longer period. So many history, we know that. And these, in the freedom fighters after the independence in 1947, all our freedom fighters became as a legislator, and they wanted to make a preventive detention law in India, that is called Independence India. For that reason, they wanted to insert a particular safeguard, particular protection to the preventive detention a person who has been arrested under the preventive detention. So the part 3 of the Constitution, that is particularly the fundamental rights. In the fundamental rights, Article 22 of the Constitution speaks about the protection of the accused person in such situation. The next, in the historical background, the Preventive Detention Act 1950 enacted. In 1950, one of the Constituent Committee member, the Constituent Committee member, who deliberated that the preventive detention is a necessary evil, though we have sustained, though we have affected by the preventive detention in the British colonial rule, it is necessary evil. For that reason, we have to introduce the Preventive Detention Act. For that reason, 1950, the Preventive Detention Act was enacted. The next, this Preventive Detention Act, which is invoked, that is a famous political leader, you know that, who has been, this is which is discussed about that, eminent political leader, A.K. Gopalan, who has been booked under the preventive detention. It's a very landmark case, everybody knows the A.K. Gopalan case, the A.K. Gopalan state of Madras. The court said, in order to political dissent and legacy is required to be followed, to the Preventive Detention Act, which is a politically motivated, a politically involved, the provisions which is imposed to the particular rivals. So this, the A.K. Gopalan case observed like this. In the preventive detention law, though the preventive detention law in 1950, certain safeguards also available, which is incorporated against abuse of power of the preventive detention by the authorities. That is called limiting the period of detention. That is longer period, in the colonial period, they have been booked, they have been detained. And the next point, to give powers to advisory boards to review the detention orders, which is inserted in the later, particularly in our Act 14 also. The only justification of the preventive detention is safeguard the society from the person who destroy the society, who is out to destroy the society. So the authority, the appropriate authority has to arrive subject to satisfaction, and the preventive detention, the order of preventive detention can be passed, and for the particular person is necessary to be detained. The next, in the history of the preventive detention laws, the Maintenance of Internal Security Act. You know that the Maintenance of Internal Security Act is a very famous thing in the Indian political history. This act was enacted in 1971. Particularly, this act discussed about the broad powers to the authorities who have the search and seizure of the property without warrant the affected person, that is the arrested person, indefinite period of the detention and wiretapping, everything included in this act. So this act threat to this act also applicable to a person who is threat to national security and involves in the terrorism, he may be booked under this act. That is internal. We are saying shortly it is called as a MISA. MISA, the people may know, everybody may know about the MISA. That is Maintenance of Internal Security Act. So during the emergency period, 1975 to 77, this act was used for quelling political dissent. Finally, it was repealed in 1977. We know that the people, those who are detained under the MISA. The next history, the National Security Act 1980, which is enacted. The National Security Act, it is a very important act which is in existence right now. Any person who is acting prejudicial to the security of India, they may be booked under this act. Even a foreigner shall be detained under this act who has committed an offence in India. A person is acting according to public order. This act empowers central and state government to detain the person. The next act, what we are going to discuss elaborately, that is Act 14 of 1982. This Act 14 of 1982, which is passed in 1982, which speaks about certain persons. The certain persons who have been booked under this Act. These are all the certain persons. That is called the bootleggers, the cyber law offenders, drug offenders, forest offenders, gunda, immoral traffic offenders, sand offenders, sexual offenders, slum grabbers, video pirates, all the people, those who are booked under the Act 14 of 1982. So these people are called as a certain person who have been booked under this preventive detention law. The next thing, this Act amended various times. In the history, we are discussing about that various instances which has been amended. The major amendments we are going to discuss. We are going to deliberate about this. In 1986, the concept of drug offenders were inserted. Under the drug offenders, the major substantive law, that is Drugs, Dangerous Drugs Act and the NDPS Act were inserted. They have been booked under this and they have been detailed as a the detailed preventive detention, detain under this provisions of these acts. In 1988, the forest offenders, that word is inserted. This forest offender means a person has done any act of illicit cutting of trees and indiscriminately killing of wild animals, particularly the elephants, which is killed by the people. So they have been booked under forest offenders. The next, in 2004, the word video pirates. The video piracy, which is a very major issue in Tamil Nadu. For that reason, the film industry people are facing several crises, particularly video piracy results major loss to the governments, producers, distributors, theatre owners, everybody. So they approached the state government, and those who are involved in video piracy, they have been booked under this Act 14 of 1982. Next, in 2006, the word sand offenders were added. In this, the sand offenders nothing but called the people, those who are committed an offense and ordinarily in the sand. This discussed here. You see, this one. A person who commits an offense with respect to ordinary sand under the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957 and Tamil Nadu Minor Minerals Concession Rules 1959. Next, the cyber law offender. Sorry. The next is the 2008, another amendment which is made in 2008. In this 2008, very important thing which is inserted, that means recently we are seeing the people who are damaging the leader's statue, those who are the disfiguring or defilled the deities, the statue of the deities, these inserted in 2008. Those who are the people, those who are committed such an act, they have been booked under this act, that is Act 14 of 1982. So the scope of the act, which is expanded in 2008, that means whoever causes damage, disfigure or defilled the statue of deities and political leaders, the leaders shall be booked under the preventive detention. The next, whoever committed the riots, causes riots or promoting enmity between different groups on the ground of religion, on the ground of race, on the ground of caste, like this, such act adversely affecting the public order, they also shall be booked under the preventive detention. This also recently we had seen certain people booked under the Act 14 of 1982 in the media we had seen. Next, in 2014, the word cyber law offender is inserted. The cyber law offender That means Information Technology Act. The Information Technology Act, which plays the cyber law in India. So the cyber crime has potential for posing threat to the internal security, particularly the hackers and cyber criminals. For that reason, the cyber law offenders who have been inserted in 2014 and they have been booked under the Act 14 of 1982. Next, in 2014, the same year, the sexual offender, which is also inserted as a person who is affecting the maintenance of public order. Next, the another very important thing in 2014, which is inserted, that means usually in Gunda, the concept of Gunda, a person who has been a habitual offender, they only be booked under as a Gunda. That means they should have the adverse cases. Then only they will be booked under the Gunda. But this act is amended. That means even a single act has potential to disturb the public order. Such person may be booked under the preventive detention. So this is a very major amendment. The next, we have to discuss certain words and phrases which is involved in the Act 14 of 1982 Act. In this, the dangerous activity. The word dangerous activity, which involves an activity which causes high degree of risk of harm to someone or something. That means high degree of risk of harm. The high degree of risk is very important word. Then only it may be called as a dangerous act. According to this act, the dangerous activity means a public order which is adversely affected by certain person. Certain person means, you know, that bootlegger, forest offenders, the cyber law offender, Gunda, all these people. With regard to the dangerous activity, a person who has involved in a larger scale, that means committed a dangerous act and carried out such act and the violation of particular law in the state of Tamil Nadu. Particularly, the act discussed about the urban area. The next, the public order. We have to understand the word public order because the law and order is different from the public order. We are going to discuss the law and order and public order difference later. So the public order, which is defined under the Police Act 1861. The order will be maintained on public roads and public places. That is called the public order. The people shall behave in a respectable manner and rational manner towards the surrounding, towards the in and around. Whereas the public order is absent, the public place becomes unsafe. According to this act, any person acting adversely in any manner prejudicial to the maintenance of public order, he infringed the public order and committed the offence which arrived as a public order, he may be booked under the Act 14 of 1982. Next, the words and phrases which discuss continuing the dangerous activity. In the dangerous activity, according to this act, the activity of any person who has causing any harm, danger, or feeling of insecurity among the general public. That means in the ground case, usually the sponsoring authority mentioned that there is a panic which is gripped in that particular place, which is mentioned in the grounds of detention usually. The feeling of insecurity among the public, general public, or any section, or widespread danger to the life or public health or ecological system. That means ecological system, otherwise called as a forest offender, who has committed the cutting of trees, causing ecological the endanger to the public. There's such activity called as a dangerous activity. The next word, important word, which is defined under this act, the word bootlegger. Who is called as a bootlegger? First of all, we must understand that tracing the term bootlegger, this term which is derived from the American term. In America, during the Civil War, the soldiers were sneak the liquor in their camps by concealing pin bottle in their boot or beneath their trouser legs. So these word boot and legs, which is from there. That means you know that a person which is committed an offence of the Tamil Nadu Prohibition Act and selling illicit arak, the ID arak, particularly the act discussed about that, the not only selling, transports, the exports, imports, all these things involved in this definition. So normally a person who makes or sells alcoholic liquor illegally, he may be called as a bootlegger in this terminology. Next, the cyber law offender. The cyber law offender, already we have discussed that the information technology chapter 9, particularly, sorry, for chapter 11, particularly chapter 11, that is discussed about the offences in the Information Technology Act. A person who commits an offence punishable under the chapter 11 of the Information Technology Act, and he may be booked as a cyber law offender under Act 14 of 1982. The next, a drug offender. A person who sells, manufactures, particularly this thing discussed about that, cultivates any plant. Person who distributes any drugs or cultivates any plant. In this, I want to tell you very important thing regarding the drugs concern. We are considering the medicines, which is also called as a drug. In the medicine, which is called as a notified drugs, which is notified drugs, which is permitted drugs, we can purchase and consume the drugs. Certain drugs which is not notified, which cannot be sold out, which cannot be manufactured, that drugs involves under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and also the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. Moreover, who aids money for selling of drugs or manufacturing of drugs, they are also liable. That is called the abettor, who also liable under this Drug Offenders Act. The next thing, forest offender, who may be called as a forest offender. A person who commits an offence under chapter 2, 3, 5, 6b or 7 of the Tamil Nadu Forest Act or chapter 6 of the Wildlife Protection Act, he may be called as a forest offender. Already we discussed that what is the meaning of forest offender: cutting the trees and killing the wildlife animal, particularly elephants. So next, Gunda. You know that the most of the people in the rural areas and most of the detainees, the relation of the detainees, who may say this Act 14 of 1982 called as a Gundas Act. Everybody is saying it is a Gundas Act. You know that. By default they are saying it is a Gundas Act. So the Gunda is a very famous word prevailing in the society. So the person who commits, who be a member or leader of a gang, and it is a habitual offender of committing an offence, punishable under Section 153, 153A, Chapter 8, Chapter 16, other than the Section 354, 376, 376A to D. Why it is discussed there? They have been booked under separately these things. You see, sexual offender. You see this slide. The sexual offender, a person who commits any offence punishable under Section 354, 376, 376A to D or Section 377 of the IPC. For that reason, in this Gunda, these provisions which is exempted, which is separated. So the person who commits an offence of Section 3, Section 4 or Section 5 of the Tamil Nadu Properties, we are saying TNPPD Act, Tamil Nadu Property Prevention of Damage and Loss Act. Under this Act also, those who are committed an offence, they have been booked under this as a Gunda. Next, immoral traffic offender. The immoral traffic offender, a person who commits any offence under the suppression of immoral traffic in Women and Girls Act 1956. Women and Girls Act 1956, they may be called as an immoral traffic offender. Particularly, I wanted to tell you, we are going to discuss that. The first, the cyber law offender in Tamil Nadu, Dr. L. Prakash, we know that. That means under section 67 of the Information Technology Act, he has been booked. But he was detained under the, because the cyber law offender, which is inserted, you know that in 2014 only. In 2014 only, the cyber law offender which is inserted. For that reason, he was booked as a immoral traffic offender. Any corrections, anything, you may note down that. You may ask the police regarding that. We will deliberate all the issues. Okay. The person who commits any offence under this Act, Suppression of Immoral Traffic in Women and Girls Act 1956. Next, sand offender. The sand offender, a person who commits an offence with respect to ordinary sand under the mines and minerals, we have discussed all these things. So he may be called as, because the sand mafia, which is prevalent, which is most very dangerous thing in the society. Some of the officials were killed by the sand mafia. For that reason, the sand offender who have been booked under the Act 14 of 1982. The next, sexual offender. That sexual offender, you know that section 354, 376, 376 2D or section 377 of IPC who has committed an offence. Moreover, any person who has committed an offence of the Tamil Nadu Prohibition of Harassment of Women Act 1998 or Protection of Children Act, that is called POCSO, Protection of Children Act, Sexual Offences Act, Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012, they may be called as a sexual offender. They may be booked under the Act 14 of 1980. Next, slum grabber, who is called as a slum grabber. I am discussing shortly about the slum grabber because the definition which discussed about the very elaborately about the slum grabber for the time consuming, time consumption. I am discussing the meaning of slum grabber, the person who takes possession of any land illegally, that is encroaching, who has encroached the possession of another land or constructing unauthorized structures to that person, to that another person. Such person may be booked under the slum grabber under this Act 1982. Next, video piracy. Video pirates. Video pirates, you know that cinema which discussed today, the film which is illegally copyrighted, illegally the sound recording which is the embodying the sound recorded which is illegally copied under the Copyright Act 1957, which is called as a video piracy. These people may be booked under the video piracy. Next, we are entering into the concept of this Act. This Act, which discussed about the section 3, it's a very important section because the power to make detention order by the detaining authority. The detaining authority, these people are very important in the preventive detention. The sponsoring authority, particularly the Inspector of Police, may be called as a sponsoring authority, and the detaining authority, the district magistrate or the Commissioner of Police, may be called as a detaining authority. The order to detain certain person means we have discussed already all these people. The state government may make orders directing to detain certain persons. That is, the state government confers the power to the detaining authority. The detaining authority shall follow the first thing, they should follow a subjective satisfaction of the material facts. Next, whether the detainee acting under the prejudicial to the maintenance of public order. For preventing such act, the detaining authority may pass an order and such person may be detained. Next, the very important thing, the public order which is discussed here. For that reason, we have already discussed the meaning of public order. Here we are going to discuss the difference between public order and law and order. When the person committed a crime and causing panic to the public, insecurity to the public life, which may be called as a public order, we discussed. The law and order is nothing but called one of the case which discussed about Lima Rose versus district magistrate. In that case, in the ground case, detainee committed a crime in the complainant's mill. The petitioner counsel argued that the mill is not a public place. So there is no prejudicial to the maintenance of public order, only to the law and order, which arises law and order. Such situation is a law and order. So discussed that. The next, section 3(2) of this act, 3 clause 2. This act discussed about that. The government has satisfied it is necessary to be a direct certain person to be detained under the preventive detention for a specified period. In the detention order, they have to mention that the state government also conferred the power to the district magistrate or the commissioner of police to detain, to exercise such power. Next, the provided clause discussed about that the period of detention shall not exceed 3 months. So why we know that it is a 12 months, 1 year they have been detained. But initially, the period of detention shall not exceed 3 months. If it is necessary, the period is required to be extended, it shall not be extended more than 3 months at any one time. In this regard, the state government may amend this order from time to time. The next, the district magistrate or the commissioner of police, that is called the detaining authority, shall forthwith report the fact to the state government in the following material facts. The report consists of these things. The first thing is grounds of detention should contain in this. Next, particulars. That means adverse cases and all other documents. That is called, we are saying it is a booklet. The preventive detention law booklet, which is supplied to the detainee, which consists of all other documents. All the details which has been given to the, why it has been given, we are going to discuss that later. That means to make an opportunity to be given for making effective representation to the government. You should know about this ground case. No order shall remain in force for more than 12 days after making such order by the detaining authority, because it has to be approved by the state government within the 12 days. Where the detention order is passed by the detaining authority, it is the report forwarded to the state government, and the state government should approve that within the period that is called 12 days. This act enumerates. The next, the detention, execution of the detention order. The order of detention will be executed in any case, like execution of the warrant of arrest under the CRPC. The next, the detainee is held liable to the condition as imposed by the state government under general or special order. A detainee is held liable to remove their place of detention from one to another within the state government for the custody of the place of the detention, which speaks about that. The next, in section 5(a) of this act, an amendment is made relating to a person who has two or more grounds. The order of detention shall have the grounds of each ground separately. The order shall not be valid or inoperative on the ground of bail non-existent, particularly the bail order which is challenged the Ambuda versus Tamil Nadu in 2014. In this case, the petitioner challenged the vague order. The order is vague because the detainee involved in several cases, in the several instances, because the detainee was the Revolutionary Youth Student Front leader. This is one of the important case regarding the vague. The next, the detention order may not be invalid or inoperative where the person detained outside the limit of territorial jurisdiction of the detaining authority within the state. So, the person detention order may not be invalid, right? These clauses discussed. Next, absconding of detainee. The order has been passed. The detainee concealed his identity or absconded. In such case, section 82 to 86 of CRPC, that is absconding accused provisions which discussed in the CRPC shall apply in this preventive detention also, and empowered to exercise all powers of the competent authority, competent court, that is the court may invoke the provisions section 82, 83, 84 and 85 of the CRPC, issuing an order of proclamation against the detainee and also for the attachment and sale of his property. If the detainee is affected, he may prefer an appeal against his order before the Court of Sessions. This Act provides that safeguards also, that the appeal provision also. The next, the person absconding, his order of detention shall be notified in the official gazette. The state government has to notify the absconding accused details, stating that he should appear before the detaining authority within the specified period or specified time and in the notification. Next, procedure for serving detention order. If that is, the detention order should be served, should be supplied. That means if he fails to comply the orders or proves to impossible for before the officer, he shall be punished for imprisonment of for 1 year. Sorry, this provision discussed about that. The earlier provision that is called the absconding accused provision discussed about that. That means if he fails to comply with the order or proves to impossible appear before the officer where the absconding accused, he shall be punished for imprisonment for 1 year and with fine or with both. Substantive provision which is there in the Act 14 only this provision. That means section 7 having the substantive provision that he will face to comply the order of the courts. Next, section 8 of the Act, that is called serving detention order. The grounds of detention shall be communicated to the detainee or the affected person not later than 5 days from the date of detention, the order of detention. Then only he has representation to the government. So the 5 days, within the particular period of 5 days, the grounds of detention, that is order of grounds of detention, it is a single paper, which is not a booklet, a separate paper, the order of detention, the grounds of order of detention, is applied to the detainee within 5 days. Next, usually the officers are giving even the booklets also. I am usually deliberating and discussing something relating to preventive detention law before my student. I say, you know that in the police station, one person, that means called as the writer, who is sitting, keep on writing something. He is you know that if you are going to the police station, you may see keep on writing. What they are writing, these details, that is the ground case and the other documents which is related to the detention, which is related to this, they are writing. You know that which is applied to the detention, that the writers person, that is a cadre of constable, may be allocated in the particular station. They are doing such a work. The next, authority shall not require to disclose the fact where the case involves against the public interest. That means the grounds of arrest, the grounds of detention shall be communicated to the affected person. But this one is, it is not required to disclose because it involves against the public interest. So it is involved relating to the public interest, then it is not required to disclose. Next, the adversary board, very important thing, the adversary board. That is, another opportunity has been given to the detainee to approach the separate body, which is called as an adversary board, to make their grievances, to make their representation before the adversary board. So the adversary board, we discussed earlier also in the 1950, that act also discussed about to give the review of the adversary board. We have in this that slide. The state government shall constitute one or more adversary boards. Every board shall consist of the chairman and 2 other members. Usually the chairman will be the retired High Court judge. The retired High Court judge shall be appointed as a chairman of the board. You know that when I practiced in this preventive detention side, we know that in the new secretariat building case, that is called the Gomandura building, the adversary board, which is held there. Now I didn't have the practice because I have been appointed as a regular faculty. For that reason, I don't know what is the updates. The next, so the chairman shall be the High Court judge, the retired High Court judge. So the High Court judge cadre shall be the chairman. Next, the state government shall place a case before the adversary board, that is called a reference, which is referred the case before the adversary board within 3 weeks from the date of detention. So within the date of detention, within 3 weeks, the case is referred to the adversary board by the state government. The affected person can make the representation and face the grounds of detention before the board. And the officer also will be called and they have to report the case before the adversary board. Next, the procedure of the adversary board. The material placed before the adversary board from the state government or any person called through the state government or the person concerned. That means either the state government or the person concerned means the affected person. If the adversary board considers whatever is placed before them and called the people, those who are necessary to be inquired. After the considering the material facts and hearing the person, the adversary board shall submit a report to the state government. That is, it is only a recommendatory body. It is only a recommendatory body to make the recommendation about this case. So within the 7 weeks from the date of detention of the order, the adversary board to send the report before the adversary board. Next, the report of adversary board shall specify separately as a part whether the cause of the detention is sufficient or not. So they have to decide the cause of the detention. That means they arrive the opinion that it is a prima facie arrived or any. We are going to discuss that. These are all the important things which we are going to discuss, that the grounds of the setting up the order of detention. These are all the grounds. Usually we are placing before, we are taking the points for arguing before the habeas corpus petition in the statutory HCP. Yes. What we are discussing, that the adversary board, the majority opinion of the board shall apply. So the chairman and 2 other members In this, the majority opinion shall prevail. The proceedings of the advisory board and its report shall be a confidential one. The affected person shall not entitled to have a legal practitioner before the advisory board. Only in person or the friend of the detainee may appear before the advisory board and explain the case. Next, section 12 and 13, that is recommendation of the advisory board, where the advisory board has made a recommendation that there is a sufficient cause to arrive the order of detention. The state government may confirm the detention order and continue the order of detention not exceeding the period of 12 months. Not exceeding the period of 12 months. Some of the cases which were allowed by our Honorable High Court, the 12 months which was mentioned in the ground case, 1 year. Because what is the 1 year, what is the 12 months? You know the period which we discussed today, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, which has to be extended. We know that at any time the 3 months, the order of detention may be extended. We already read. So for that reason, some of I experienced some of the HCPs are allowed under these points. The next, section 14 of this act, where there is no sufficient cause. We have discussed sufficient cause. The order of detention is confirmed under the state government continue the detention. If there is no sufficient cause, to continue the detention order after considering the material, the advisory board shall make a recommendation to revoke the detention order. So the recommendation dealt with revocation of the detention order. Based upon the report of the state government, the order of detention may be revoked at any time. In the case of expiry or revocation of the detention order, shall not bar for making another detention, or in the same case against the same person, sorry, not the same case, against the same person may be booked under the different detention order. That means another detention is permitted, another detention is allowed after the revocation of the detention also. The next provided clause which discussed about that, there no fresh facts made against the affected person after revocation or expiry of earlier detention order, the maximum period of detention shall not exceed beyond 12 months from the date of earlier detention order. That we already discussed in this. In 15 of this act, the detainee may be released temporarily for a specified period with or without condition. Moreover, the detainee accepts that condition, accepts the release, and the state government may at any time cancel his release also. So the detention, in the release of the detention, he has to furnish a bond with or without sureties as per the direction of the state government. So the state government may derive the condition of the bond where the detainee is released temporarily. The release of the detainee shall surrender at any time and any place to the authority as per the order of the release, or even cancelled by the state. Without sufficient cause, the person fails to surrender himself, he shall be punished on conviction up to 2 years of imprisonment or fine or with both. So the condition is not complex. He has been released temporarily. He fails to complete the condition and also fails to surrender, he may be punished for conviction. The released person fails to comply the condition of the bond shall be forfeited, and thereby we shall be liable to pay penalty also. The next we are going to discuss another part, constitutional safeguards of the preventive detention law. Whenever we discuss any concept as a legal jurist or legal luminaries or legal aspects, we have to focus, we have to concentrate, we have to oversee the constitutional aspects of that particular concept. Because Constitution is the parent act and other acts are enabling act. The Act 14 of 1982 is an enabling act. Constitution is the parent act. Under Article 13 of the Constitution, and moreover, you know that the fundamental rights, all these things discussed about that, when the legal right is infringes or the constitutional rights are infringes, we can approach the High Court under the judicial review. That is Article 226 and 227 and 136 of the Constitution discussed about the judicial review. See here in the Act 14 of 1982, we have to see the constitutional safeguards to the arrestee as well as the detainee. In this, Article 22 of the Constitution provides certain safeguards. These are all the safeguards. That means right to consult and the right to defend. You know that right to consult and right to defend, which is also available in the CRPC. You know that. In the right to consult and right to be defended as a general provisions in the CRPC. So the legal provisions, this is constitutional provisions, right to consult and right to be defended by the legal practitioner of his own choice. The next, in the case of arrest or detention, the arrested person shall be produced before the magistrate within 24 hours of his arrest, excluding the journey period, excluding the travel. Here, you know that section 24, that is arrested person to be remanded and to be produced before the magistrate. You know that section 167 of CRPC, class 1 of the CRPC, the legal aspects, the legal provisions which is inside. The next, no person shall be detained beyond 24 hours without the order of the magistrate. You know that any illegal detention, that means for inquiry purpose, the person may be called and they may be detained without any legal means, without any reasonable records. Simply they are sitting, they are interrogating, they are detaining the person without making any record. That is why we are making the representation to the state government in the HCP. We are filing the HCP, we are making the representation. In the representation, we are asking the arrest card, we are asking general diary, we are asking the entry in the police station. That means the whatever the materials which is seized from the accused person, right? In the form 1995 or the Caesar Magazine, all these things which may be given, the date of detention and the person who has been arrested, who has been remanded, these to be verified by the defense counsel. For that reason, he will be detained. We may identify that whether he has been without any dealings, these may be identified. Next, Article 22, Class 1 and 2 shall not apply to the enemy alien and any person who has arrested or detained under the preventive detention laws. So, in the preventive detention laws, this provision which is very important. You know that the preventive detention law shall not authorize the detention of the person for more than 3 months unless the advisory board has given. This is very important thing relating to the concept of advisory board, which is there in the constitutional provisions. So the advisory board, right, which has been constituted, you know that the next point, composition of the advisory board is the judge of the High Court as the chairman of the board, and he shall not authorize the detention, preventive detention of the person for more than 3 months unless the advisory board approves or has given the opinion if there is any sufficient cause which arises, which are all there in the legal provisions of the Act 14 of 1982. We already seen in the records also. The next, the recommendation of the advisory board we already discussed. The same thing which is there in the constitutional provision also. The advisory board recommendation shall be sent to the government before the expiry of 3 months for the period of detention from the date of detention. Then the state government shall continue the period of detention not receiving from the same thing which is said by this only, which is inserted in Act of 1980. The authority who makes the detention order shall communicate the same thing, that is grounds of detention, at the earliest for making the effective representation against the order of detention. That the effective representation to be disposed of within a reasonable time. Then it is a point for considering the release of the detention. That means the quashing of the detention order. The next, if the authority considers that disclosing the grounds of detention would affect the interest of the public, it is not required to be disclosed by the authority who makes. Already we have discussed the same thing which is discussed in the legal provisions also. The next, the Parliament may prescribe the law relating to the advisory board, relating to the detention. The Parliament now and then may prescribe the law. That means you know that the visa which is passed and which is repealed, you know that you have to understand that the TADA and the quota, that is different. TADA and quota, which whether it is coming under the preventive detention law or not, we may have a doubt about this. The TADA and quota having a substantive provisions and procedural provisions, but they have been booked under the NSA only, because TADA and quota, it is a separate law, but it is inconsistent with the constitutional part 3 of the constitution. For that reason, which is repealed by the Parliament, you know that. So the Parliament may prescribe any law for the time being without obtaining. Next, we have to discuss that what related to the law may be prescribed by the Parliament. Without obtaining the opinion of the advisory board, the detention order may be longer than 3 months. Second point, in the class of cases, that means already I discussed that TADA and quota, these may be called as a class of cases, important cases. Now we have UAPA, that is related to terrorism, related to the national security. They have been booked under this UAPA, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. You know that. It's a class of cases, the maximum period of detention under any law providing for preventive detention. That means the maximum period of detention may vary, may be different in the class of cases. The procedure to be followed by the advisory board to be an inquiry. So it is called to be an inquiry because the judicial authority, that is retired High Court judge, who was the chairman of the board, and he does the inquiry. Right? You know that it is a simple thing. You know that the difference between the inquiry, because the inquiry is a fair and impartial, which is called as an inquiry. We know that. Next, the grounds of setting aside the order of detention. Sorry to the participants, that is the honorable judges and the advocates, the learned advocates, my dear students. And whether you are following my presentation, I expect I'm going one by one. If you have any queries, you may ask at the end. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir. You may proceed, sir.
Okay, shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, you may continue.
Okay, sir. So the grounds of setting aside the order of detention, these are all the important grounds. These, in the practice, the advocates who are arguing before the court, and moreover, the judgment laws. That means the precedent, the High Court and Supreme Court judgments, which derived that these are all the important points to quash the order of detention. Setting aside the order of detention. The first point is where the detention is passed with malevolence, that is bad faith, ill will. Where the detention the detaining authority has the ill will against a particular detainee. The next one is if there is any violation of Article 22 Clause 5 of the Constitution, then there is a grounds for detention, order of detention, setting aside the order of detention. What is 22 Clause 5? You know that making effective representation, which is before the state government. Without any subjective satisfaction of the detaining authority, the order of detention also setting aside. That is subjective satisfaction means the all the materials which is placed before the detaining authority, we should have, the second point is very important, we should have application of mind. That is called, we have to see and analyze, scrutinize all the documents. It is a case for detention. So the non-application of mind and the passing of the detention order is also setting aside. Next, delay in communicating the grounds of detention. So the delay in communicating, that means it is to be served. We have already discussed the 5 days. So there is any delay in communicating the grounds of detention, he is affected by the opportunity to make the effective representation. Next, the detainee is already in custody. He is arrested and in custody. The detaining authority should aware of the person in custody. Under what case he is in the custody, he should mention in the grounds of arrest. Without aware of the such facts, he mechanically passed the detention order. Such detention also can be set aside. It can be quashed. Next, the document shall be furnished where the language, that is, the detainee knows only the vernacular language. That means in the Dr. L. Prakash case, Dr. L. Prakash versus State of Tamil Nadu, the Prakash knows only the Telugu. He said, I don't know the language. The translation copy is required. But the state government said he is a doctor. He is a well-renowned doctor, and he knows the English, which is argued in that case. Dr. L. Prakash case, which discussed several things, we will discuss later regarding the Dr. L. Prakash case. Next, the cancelling of the detention order and the grounds of detention to be supplied to the detainee, and the copies of the translation also to be supplied. Next, without prejudicial to the maintenance of the public order, only the public order, no law and order. If there is any law and order arises, the order of detention may be set aside. This we have already discussed in the Lima Rose case. Next, the important case laws we have to analyze. In the important case law in 1982, Ahmed Bhatti versus State of Gujarat. The Ahmed Bhatti versus State of Gujarat case, it is supplied review, as he had no opportunity of making effective representation. It is a violation of Constitution, the protection of the Article 22 of the Constitution, and the order of detention is bad in law, which is discussed later in the 82. Next, the Lima Rose case we have already discussed. Next, the 2006 TV Saravanan versus State. In this case, discussed about that. We have discussed the point. He is already in the custody. In this case, what is the important thing? The which involves the accused has been implicated in this case. The activities which is not prejudicial to the security, the sovereignty and the integrity of the state, and the detention order has been passed against the absence of that material. That material means activities prejudicial to the security, sovereignty and the integrity of the state. So the court held that the order is bad in law. Next, Chalini Soni versus Union of India. In this case, the Supreme Court held that detainee can claim the procedural safeguard not only under Article 22 of the 22 Clause 5 of the Constitution, in break with Article 19 of the Constitution, that is a fundamental right. That is right to assemble, right to speech and expression, all these things. The court has to insist procedural safeguards to be fair and fair, and strictly observed when the person is detained. The breach of such procedural is imperative and it lead to next, Ganesan versus State of Tamil Nadu in 2015. It's a very interesting case. In this case, the number of accused, that is more than one accused, more than the detainee who were arrested, who have been in the custody. One of the accused in the case, after release, after release, the detainee also filed the bail petition. The detainee bail petition was rejected. On the date of rejection, immediately the detainee was booked under the Act 14 of 1982. It is a very clear case, the malafidness, and also there is no subjective satisfaction on the possibility of releasing on bail. There is no prejudice adversely affecting the maintenance of public order because one of the accused already released on the bail in the same case, in the same ground case. Hence, the order of detention has been quashed in the Ganesan versus State of Tamil Nadu case. Next, you know that L. Prakash versus State of Tamil Nadu and others in 2002. You know that the L. Prakash case, very landmark case, we have already discussed. In this aspect, what I am going to discuss that the petitioner has filed several cases. One of the cases he claimed as a special class of prisoner because he is a doctor and he was the income tax assessee, and the special class of prisoner, the privilege was given to him before detaining him under the detention. After the detention, the special class of prisoner facility was revoked. That means the condition of order 1986 provides that certain facilities were being given to the special class of prisoners. What are these facilities are which discussed there? Just a minute. The facilities which speaks about that the accommodation, diet, clothing, bedding, toilet articles, private property, interview and communications, supply of newspaper and magazines, withdrawal of privileges, representation by detainee, offences and punishments. These are all facilities, and also the power of the superintendent has imposed certain conditions. That is, for the security of the jail manual, that is, he may be separated, he may be confined separately, that is separate confinement, he may be handcuffing and removal of detainees to the hospital, exercises and games, visits, and also the annexure of the order, that is condition of order 1986, discussed about that. The food and other articles, other eatables to be given to the detainee 4 occasions. This food is inequality, which is prescribed in the things. He claimed that which is not given, which is his petition was dismissed because he was detained under the Act 14 of 1982. He separated from that, so the things next. Yes. Yes, any queries, sir?
Sir, are you concluded, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, please stop sharing, sir.
Okay. Yes,
okay, sir. Sir, anybody having question, you may raise your hand, sir. Sir, one Dilip Kumar.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Ah,
Sir,
yes.
good
You
evening.
can ask your question, sir.
Sir, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir. Audible. You can ask.
Thank
My
you.
voice is not audible, sir.
Thank you. So one quick question. So what if the accused person in this case is a juvenile, maybe say 16 years of age? So will the Juvenile Act come in play, or will it still can be booked under Gundas Act?
Actually, the juvenile, you know that they may be called as a delinquent, not at all an offender. So this act deals about everything is the offender, not the delinquent. No word discussed about delinquent. So the 1986 Juvenile Justice Act, as well as 2000 Parent Protection of Children Act, and also 2015 Act, which are all speaks about the juvenile trial, that is a conflict with the law, juvenile in conflict with the law. So whether the juvenile can be detained under the detention, this is your question, right, sir? Sir? Hello? Hello, sir, is there? Dilip Kumar, sir?
I think he's not there.
Dilip Kumar, sir? The juvenile cannot be detained because the detention involves only the offenders, not the delinquent. It's a very important point, very clear. They will be sent to the special homes only, not in the prison. Even though they are reaching the 18, above 18 years, they may be sent to the prison, which is there in the 2015 Act, because the classification of offences are there in the 2015 Act. Earlier Act never classified about the offences, only offences. The 2015 Act discussed about that, heinous offences, serious offences, and the petty offences. That you know that the petty offences less than 3 years, serious offences up to 7 years, the heinous offences more than 7 years, that is a life or death or imprisonment for life, everything. So these are all classified, and also they have been tried before the Children's Court, which is a new law, which is a new provision, which is inserted in 2015 Act. The Children's Court may be a designated court to try the cases of POCSO. It is equivalent to the Sessions Court. The powers possessed with the Sessions. The Children's Court. The Children's Court, which were in the 1960 and the 1978, before 1920, the Children's Court, which were there in the 1920, 1960, 1978, the history speaks about the Children's Court. After I am discussing about the juvenile, regarding the juvenile, sir. Right, sir? So in this aspect concern, the juvenile justice, it is a justice. Justice is different from the law. That is why we are saying the law and justice. The ministry is law and justice. Justice is nothing but called you know that in the Juvenile Justice Board, a woman shall be the presiding officer. At least one woman shall be there, because they should have the mercy. தாயுள்ளத்தோடு அந்த குழந்தையை பார்க்கணும். அதுக்காக தான் அந்த ப்ரொவிஷன் வச்சிருக்காங்க. அப்படி ஒரு ப்ரொவிஷன் இன்சர்ட் பண்ணாங்க. So Juvenile Justice Act, which is established in 1986 by the convention, the Minimum Standards Convention 1985, we are shortly saying Beijing Rules Convention in 1985, the minimum standard for children, 1985. By this, we have ratified the convention. India ratified. Then in 1978, 1960, 1928, the Children Act, which is abolished. The new act, that is called Juvenile Justice Act 1986, which is enacted. In the Juvenile Justice Act, the juvenile, two kinds of juvenile, delinquent juvenile and neglected juvenile. So delinquent juvenile may be sent to the home, not to the prison. They should be sent to the home. So the offense itself is not an offense. It is a delinquency. how they can be booked under the GUDA, how they can be booked under the preventive detention. This is the point. Okay, sir. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Sir, one more participant is there, but his name is not displayed. I will unmute him.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, sir.
His device number only displayed.
You know that, sir, after Nirbhaya case only, we have inserted the children.
Sir, one Gopi is there, sir. I will unmute him.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
சார் வணக்கம் சார்.
சார் கேளுங்க சார் உங்க கொஸ்டின் சார்.
சார் இப்போ அட்வைசரி போர்ட்ல இருந்து கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு அனுப்பிச்ச உடனே 12 டேஸ்க்குள்ள அவங்க வந்து டிடென்ஷன் ஆர்டர் அப்ரூவ் பண்ணும் சார்.
ஆமா சார்.
அத வந்து எப்படி அக்யூஸ்டுக்கோ இல்ல ஆமா சார் அக்யூஸ்டுக்கோ இல்ல எப்படி அக்யூஸ்ட்
சார் அதான் பிரச்சனை. என்னன்னா report sent to the government, such report is confidential. So confidential அந்த ரிப்போர்ட்டை நம்ம காப்பி கொடுங்கன்னு கேட்க முடியாது. சரிங்களா? அந்த ரிப்போர்ட்டோட காப்பி இப்ப நம்ம ஒரு இதுலயே காப்பி கொடுங்கன்னு கேட்போம். நம்ம வந்து எஃபெக்டிவ் ரெப்ரசன்டேஷன் பண்ண முடியும் கேட்போம். சோ அந்த ரிப்போர்ட்டை கான்ஃபிடென்ஷியல் சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறம் நம்ம அதுக்குள்ள இன்வால்வ் ஆக முடியும்.
இல்ல சார் என்னோட டவுட் என்னன்னா கவர்மெண்ட் 12 நாளுக்குள்ள டிடென்ஷன் ஆர்டர் அப்ரூவ் பண்ணாங்களா இல்லையான்னு எப்படி நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது? ஏன்னா அட்வைசரி இது
எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் ஆர்டர் அனுப்பி கொடுத்துருவாங்க சார். அந்த டிடென்யூக்கு ஜெயில சூப்பரண்ட் ஆஃப் பிரிசன் வந்து டிடென்ஷன் எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் ஆர்டர் அத வந்து சர்வ் பண்ணுவாங்க.
சரிங்க. அதே மாதிரி இன்னொரு டவுட் என்னங்க, இப்போ போலீஸ் வந்து குண்டாஸ் போடணும்னா பெயில்ல அப்ளிகேஷன் போட்டு டிஸ்மிஸ் ஆகி உள்ள இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கே ஸ்பெசிபிக்காவே குண்டாஸ் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்றாங்க, கலெக்டர் அப்ரூவ் பண்றாங்க, அதே மாதிரி அட்வைசரி அப்ரூவ் பண்றாங்க.
ஆமா சார்.
அது மாதிரி வீக் கண்டிஷன்
பிராக்டிகல் டிஃபிகல்ட்டி இருக்கு சார், இல்லன்னு சொல்ல வரல. அதுல ப்ராப்ளம் என்னன்னா வந்து நம்ம அவரு உள்ளார வச்சுட்டு கஸ்டடியில வச்சுட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் அவரை வந்து குண்டாஸே புக் பண்ணுவாங்க. குண்டாஸ் ரெடி பண்ணுவாங்க, கிரவுண்ட் கேஸ் ரெடி பண்ணுவாங்க, புக்லெட் கொடுப்பாங்க, எல்லாமே பண்ணுவாங்க. சரிங்களா? எல்லாமே இது பண்ணுவாங்க. ஆனா வந்து அது அவங்களுக்கு தெரியும்ன்றதை காட்டுவாங்க. அதுதான் முக்கியம். அதாவது இப்ப நம்ம ரிமாண்ட் பண்றாங்கன்றது உதாரணத்துக்கு சொல்லணும்னா இப்ப நம்ம மேன் மிஸ்ஸிங் கேஸ் இருக்கீங்களா?
ஆமாங்க ஆமாங்க.
மேன் மிஸ்ஸிங் கேஸ்ல வந்து நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா மேன் மிஸ்ஸிங்ன்றது அவனை எங்கேயாவது ரிமாண்ட் பண்ணிட்டாங்கன்னு காட்டிட்டா போதும்.
சரிங்க.
அந்த பர்சனை எங்கேயாவது ரிமாண்ட் பண்ணிட்டாங்கன்னு காட்டிட்டா அவங்க மேல எடுக்க முடியாது. ஏன்னா அவங்களுக்கு சேஃப்கார்ட் கொடுத்துருது ப்ரொவிஷன்.
சரிங்க.
அதாவது அவங்க வந்து இந்த மாதிரி தேடினாங்க, இந்த மாதிரி அவங்க இது பண்ணாங்க, ட்ரேஸ் பண்ணாங்க, அப்ப இந்த இடத்துல இருந்தாரு அதனால அரெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்றாங்க. அதே மாதிரி இதுலயும் உள்ளார இருக்காருன்ற ஒரு அவேர்னஸ் இருந்தா போதும். அவர் கஸ்டடியில இருக்காரு, அவர் கஸ்டடியில இருக்காருன்ற அவேர்னஸ் தெரியாம மெக்கானிக்கலா பாஸ் பண்ணாங்க அந்த டிடென்ஷன் ஆர்டர் வந்து பாஸ் பண்ணலாம்.
ஓகே. இன்னும் ஒரே ஒரு டவுட்டுங்க. இப்போ அந்த புக்லெட் கொடுக்குறாங்க, அது வந்து கண்டெய்னிங் மோர் தென் 300 பேஜ் 400 பேஜ் 100 பேஜ் மேல.
ஆமா சார். ஆமா சார்.
நீங்க இப்போ சொன்னீங்க லாங்குவேஜ் வந்து மதர் டங்ல அவங்களுடைய மதர் டங்ல கொடுக்கணும்னு.
ஆமா.
இப்போ என்னக்குன்னா ஏதாவது ப்ரொவிஷன் இப்போ வந்து இன்எலிஜிபிளா இருந்தாவே டிடென்ஷன் ஆர்டர் வந்து ஹைகோர்ட் வந்து கேன்சல் பண்ணிடுறாங்க.
எலிஜிபிள் இல்லெஜிபிள் ரெண்டு இருக்கு சார். எலிஜிபிள்ன்றது உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், இல்லெஜிபிள்ன்றது தெரியும். இல்லெஜிபிள்னா ஜெராக்ஸ் எடுத்துப்பாங்க, அந்த ஜெராக்ஸ் கிளியரா இருக்காது. அந்த ஜெராக்ஸ்ல வந்து நம்ம பார்த்தோம்னா ஒண்ணுமே படிக்க முடியாது, என்ன எழுதிருக்காங்கன்னு கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாது.
ஆமாங்க ஆமா.
அது வந்து
இது வந்து ப்ரொவிஷன்ல ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா சொல்லிருக்காங்களா இல்லெஜிபிள்? இது வந்து எப்படி
இது ஜட்ஜ்மென்ட் லாஸ். ப்ரொவிஷன்ஸ்ல இல்லாம ஹைகோர்ட் கேसेस, சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் கேसेसல the making effective representation இருக்கீங்களா?
ஆமாங்க.
அந்த எஃபெக்டிவ் ரெப்ரசன்டேஷன் டிலே ஆகுது, ஏன்னா இந்த கிரவுண்ட்ஸை நான் படிக்க முடியல, அதனால எனக்கு வந்து அந்த அந்த காப்பி கொடுங்கன்னு சொல்லி கேட்போம். அந்த பர்டிகுலர் பேஜ் நமக்கு வேணும்னு சொல்லி ரெப்ரசன்டேஷன் எழுதி அனுப்புவோம் சார் கவர்மெண்ட். அந்த கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து இத்தனை நாளைக்குள்ளார ரீசனபிள் டைமுக்குள்ளார அந்த ரெப்ரசன்டேஷனை டிஸ்போஸ் பண்ணணும். இல்லைன்னா நம்ம காப்பீஸ் கொடுத்துடணும். கொடுக்கலன்னா நம்ம அஃபெக்ட் ஆகும். அப்ப அது ஒரு கிரவுண்டா ஹெச்இபில கொண்டு போகலாம்.
அதே மாதிரி ஒரு 3 கேஸ் வந்த உடனே 4வது கேஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 2 கிரவுண்ட் கேஸ் 2 கேஸ்ல 3வது கிரவுண்ட் கேஸா வச்சு போடுறாங்க. இது மாதிரி ஏதாவது லிமிடேஷன் இல்ல? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கேஸ்லயே போடலாம், செகண்ட் கேஸ்லயே போடலாம் அப்படின்னு.
அதான் சார் இப்போ சொன்னேன்ல சார், 2014ல ஒரு அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் வந்துச்சு. என்னன்னா வந்து
ஆமாங்க.
குண்டால வந்து ஒரு கேஸ் இருந்தாலே போதும், ஒரு ஆக்டர் இருந்தாலே போதும், அவங்க வந்து புக் பண்ணிடலாம். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இப்போ உங்களுக்கு லேட்டஸ்டா நியூஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும், என்னன்னா வந்து இந்த சிலையில அசிங்கப்படுத்தின ஒருத்தரை வந்து அரெஸ்ட் பண்ணி குண்டால போட்டாங்க. வீடியோ இது பண்ணவரை உடனே அரெஸ்ட் பண்ணி
ஆமா வீடியோ பண்ண குண்டா போட்டாங்க. ஆமா ஆமா
குண்டா போட்டாங்க. ஏன்னு ஒரு ஆக்டர் இருந்தாக்கே போதுன்ற மாதிரி அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. அந்த ஒரு கேஸ் கிரவுண்ட் கேஸ் மட்டுமே போதும், நீங்க வந்து அட்வர்ஸ் கேसेस காட்ட வேண்டியது இல்ல. சரி சரி அப்படின்னு லேட்டஸ்ட் அமெண்ட்மென்ட்ல கொண்டு வந்துட்டாங்க. ஏன்னா அட்வர்ஸ் கேसेस இல்லாம ஒரே விஷயம், அதாவது prejudicial to the maintenance of public order, அது இருந்தா பப்ளிக் ஆர்டர். சரி ஏன்னா இது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டருக்கு அஃபெக்ட் ஆகுதுங்களா? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டரா இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு ஒரு லீனியன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்க. இப்போ நம்ம பெயில் போடும்போது லீனியன்ஸ் பார்க்குறோம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர்னா ஓகே ரிலீஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்க. அவங்களுக்கே டைரக்டா குண்டாஸ் போட்டுனா அவங்களுடைய ரைட்ஸ் ஆர்டிகல் 21 அஃபெக்ட் ஆகாதுங்களான்றதா என்னோட क्वेश्चन. இல்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர்ன்றது யூசுவலா வந்து ஒருத்தன் மர்டர் பண்றான், அவனுக்கு பேர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர் இல்ல. நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர்னா அவன் வந்து லெஸ் தென் 21 இயர்ஸா இருக்கணும். அதே மாதிரி ஏதாவது அவனுக்கு அட்மானிஷன் கொடுக்கலாம். அவனுக்கு வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர்னா ப்ரொபேஷன் ஆஃப் அஃபெண்டர்ஸ் ஆக்டை இன்வோக் பண்ணலாம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர்ஸ் தான் லெஸ் தென் 7 இயர்ஸ் கீழ அவன் அஃபென்ஸ் பண்ணி இருக்கணும். இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சில கண்டிஷன் சொல்லுது சார், அதுக்கு பேர் தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர். சரி சரி சரி. ஒரு மர்டர் பண்றவனுக்கு பேர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அஃபெண்டர் இல்ல, அவன் வந்து கிரேவ் அஃபென்ஸ் தான் பண்ணிருக்கான். சரிங்களா? அவன் பெயில கட்டாயமா டிஸ்மிஸ் தான் பண்ணுவாங்க. சரி சரி சரிங்களா? ரொம்ப தேங்க்யூ. சீரியஸா தேங்க்யூ 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 தேங்க்யூ
சார். சங்கரராமன் இஸ் வெயிட்டிங் சார்.
ஓகே
Salam Panta. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You can answer.
Sir, good evening, sir. One government servant, while discharging his duties, வந்து public order பண்ணிட்டான்னு சொல்லி குண்டாஸ் ஆக்ட் போட முடியுமா சார்?
கவர்மெண்ட் சர்வெண்ட் வந்து எப்பயுமே வந்து உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் சார், அதாவது சார்ஜிங் தி கவர்மெண்ட் சர்வெண்ட், இட் இஸ் டு பி இன்ஃபார்ம்ட் டு தி பர்டிகுலர் ஹெட் ஆஃப் தி டிபார்ட்மெண்ட். பர்டிகுலர் ஹெட் ஆஃப் தி டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல அதை இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணி அந்த ப்ரீவியஸ் சாங்ஷன் வாங்கணும். ஆனா இப்ப அது கூட தேவையில்லைன்னு அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. சாங்ஷன் கூட தேவையில்லை, அவர் அப்படியே புக் பண்ணி கொண்டு போலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அமெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. ஸோ அதனால வந்து சாங்ஷன் ஃப்ரம் தி சென்ட்ரல் ஆர் ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் தி பர்சன் working with serving duties, the head of the department to be informed. This is the procedure. This is a procedural aspects in the case of arrest of the government servant and sending the government servant to the custody. Sending the government servant to the custody. Yes, sir.
Prayer sanction must தானே? Higher ups சொல்றது.
Permanent sanction தேவை. இது கோர்ட் வந்து தேவையில்லைன்னு சொல்லிட்டாங்க. Sanction வெயிட் பண்ண வேண்டாம். They should not wait for the prior sanction. So if there is any emergency situation, you can proceed. அப்படின்னு ஜட்மெண்ட் கொடுத்துட்டாங்க.
Thanks.
அந்த மாதிரி இதாயிருக்கு சார், ரிலாக்ஸ் ஆயிருக்கு. அது சிஆர்பிசி இருக்கு சார், ப்ராசிக்யூஷன் ஆஃப் கவர்மெண்ட் சர்வெண்ட்ஸ்.
தேங்க்ஸ் சார். தேங்க்ஸ்.
எஸ் சார்.
ஓகே சார். வேற யாருக்கும் क्वेश्चंस இருக்குங்களா? வேற क्वेश्चंस இருந்தா ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. சார் ஐ திங்க் வேற யாரும் இல்லைங்க. ஸோ
ஓகே
கன்க்ளூட் பண்ணிக்கலாங்களா? very thank you very much sir. It's a highly informative session. I will thank you very much on behalf of Sahil Academy and all the participants. I will thank to you sir, and also I thank all the participants who are patiently waiting for a long time. Thank you very much sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all the judges and my dear students and the honored advocates. Thank you, the heartily thanks to the Sai Academy for giving such opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thanks.